wanted by wrestling fans. Not sports entertainment fans. Professional wrestling fans! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up! This is
the Wrestling Matters Podcast, a podcast that stands up for professional wrestling. Why? Because wrestling matters. So join the revolution, because the revolution is now.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change! Professional wrestling! This is it! This is us standing up!
Yes! 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 Yes!
That's 13-14!
Dina, I am the best in the world.
'Cause that's the bottom line! 'Cause Stone Cold Simpson!
Welcome one, welcome all. It's me, Zed HEAD, back with another installment of the Progress Wrestling Podcast, brought to you by the Wrestling Matters. That's right. Hope you're all well, hope you all enjoying whatever it is you are doing, and hope you all taking it easy and relaxing and not being stressful. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back with another installment of the Progress Wrestling Podcast, and on today's show, I will be reviewing Chapter 11. First of all, I just want to quickly say, hope you've enjoyed the ICW podcast and the episode 75 of the Wrestling Matters podcast as well. It's been getting great views on YouTube, the Wrestling Matters podcast, that is. Can't talk about the ICW podcast because I only uploaded it yesterday. So I have to give that just a little bit more time, but on YouTube, the Wrestling Matters podcast has been doing very well in terms of views, and probably by say next week, hopefully when I do that, it's about 45 at the moment, maybe next week it'll be up by 100. So what I tried and everything has worked. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it anyway, hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And on today's show, like I said, we're going to talk about Progress Wrestling, and yes, it was Chapter 11. And yes, Jimmy Havoc caused what his last name is. Caused havoc. So, without further ado, Chapter 11. To fight, you must become war. And it kicked off with a semi-final match. Yeah, semi-final match in the tag team title tournament, which saw Screw Indie Wrestling, two members, Mark Haskins and Nathan Cruz, seeming that Rampage Brown is no longer a member now. And they took on Big Sticks and Dave Mastiff. You could say it was David versus Goliath. I wouldn't go that far, to be honest with you, because it was just two great tag teams. And this was the first time I have seen Mark Haskins and Nathan Cruz as a tag team, and these two worked to a T. They worked very well as a tag team. Yeah, Cruz at one point during the match was leaving his partner to basically do all the dirty work because, well, let's face it, would you want to get in the ring with Sticks? And would you want to get in the ring with Dave Mastiff? I'd rather have them two on my side, especially Dave Mastiff. And eventually he gets tagged in and they take control. Yes, Catherine Rose got involved as well. And she got involved as well to a point where Screw Indie Wrestling ended up winning. And yeah, great double team offense by Screw Indie as well. They proved that they were a great tag team, and they were the more experienced of the two tag teams. I mean, Mastiff and Sticks, I think this was their first time as a tag team, if I remember from what I saw. But Cruz being the first Progress Wrestling champion, and Mark Haskins being also a member of the Screw Indie Wrestling and all that. But these two worked very well as a team, and were probably the better team in terms of, experience. Power-wise, you give it to Sticks and Dave Mastiff all day long. All in all, great tag team. I have to give Screw Indie Wrestling the nod because, they were the stars of the show. They were stars of the match as well because they showed a great tag team. Don't get me wrong, Sticks and Mastiff showed they can be a tag team as well and do some great double team work. But, like I said, the more experience went to the Screw Indie Wrestling team, and they came out with the victory. Second match, Natural Progression Series. 2014 this time. The first one was 2013. Now it's time for another installment. Now, this was a great match. Don't get me wrong. It was just Bodum and Flash Morgan Webster. Both men making their debut. And as the Natural Progression tournament has always been, it's always been a very good tournament. And no in particular in this match. Although Josh Bodum did dominate most most of the match, dare I say nearly all of the match. Great wrestling between the two, and a pretty good way for them to, make a name for themselves as a debut. I mean, when you make a debut for a company, you want to make an impact. These two made an impact, no doubt. Some great moves in the match. Morgan with a front flip senton, which the commentator couldn't announce. It was a standing front flip senton. The commentator couldn't announce it, and I called it. Great offense in the match. Quick pace offense, lovely mat wrestling at the beginning as well. And it all ended with a mistake by Bodum, and Webster managed to find his way to a victory by hitting a 450 off the top rope. All in all, great match. Not the best natural progression match I've seen. If you want to see a good natural progression match, go back and watch Mark Andrews' matches. But all in all, great match nonetheless. Now, the main event of the first half was El Ligero against Noam Dar. You wouldn't believe how evenly matched these two are. It was so unbelievable. Great pure wrestling, back and forth stuff between the two. Counters for counters, technical wrestling, high flying stuff as well. Just two of the best wrestlers, dare I say, in the world going at it. I mean, I've seen El Ligero a few times as well, and last time I saw El Ligero live was in the town, my Middlesbrough Town Hall where I live, and him and Nathan Cruz stole the show at the All Action Wrestling show that I went to see in the Town Hall. Him and Nathan Cruz stole the show. It was just great, good fun match. And Dar ends up countering it was basically a similar situation to their last match, where Dar sticks a finger in the face, tells it to bring it on, and then Ligero goes for a CL, goes for the cover, gets a 1 count, and then goes for it again, but Dar counters and rolls him up for the victory. Noam Dar finally gets a victory over El Ligero as well. But both men, it was genuinely a 5-star match, and I will basically, from what I saw of this show, I would basically go around and say that this was the match of the night, the match that stole the show. Just epic, great wrestling between the two, and these two would have been perfect for the TNA X division. But TNA's loss is our game, and we love them for it. And this was back when Noam Dar was only 20 years old, around about this point. 2-0, 20. And the experience definitely went to El Ligero. I think El Ligero was more experienced out of the two, but, not saying Noam Dar wasn't experienced, but out of the two, you go with El Ligero. Like I say, all in all, great match to end part 1. Now, like I did yesterday, guys, I'm not going to do it today as well. Normally I'd go to a break and put a shot on some adverts. Not going to. I'm going to continue on. I'm going to continue on with Swords of Essex and FSU in another tag team tournament match. And it would be arguably say that this match actually stole the show as well. You would, if you saw Chapter 11, you would probably pick the Noam Dar match and Larry Guerrero, and there'll be a debate between that match and this tag match, because these two teams put on a hell of a tag match. Hard-hitting offense. Ospreay with an awesome shooting star press to the outside, which nearly took out the fans. It was just great, quick-paced action. And quick-paced, despite the fact that Eddie Dennis is a 6'6" guy, and he hanged with 3 of the best in Britain. Even it got so good that even the commentator was left speechless, man. Even the commentator was left speechless. And a springboard runner from Mark Andrews gives FCU the win, or FSU the win. And I swear, during points of this match, though, I swear I was watching a Ring of Honor match. Not the Ring of Honor you see now, Ring of Honor back in the old days. Because, the double team, Robertson jumping off his partner while his partner was on Eddie Dennis, and Eddie Dennis looking like he was going to put him in a DVD, Death Valley Driver. I swear at this point, I was watching Ring of Honor. Because that kind of stuff, the last time I saw that kind of stuff was in Ring of Honor. And I'm not talking about the new Ring of Honor now you see to this day. I'm talking about the old days. Back when they had Samoa Joe, Chris Daniels, yes, AJ Styles, CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, the WWE fans. All that good stuff as well. And awesome tag teams back in the day as well with Jimmy Jacobs, BJ Whitmer, and the list goes on and on. But yeah, superb tag team match. And then after the match, Eddie talks to the crowd and basically calls out any member of the new faction, which is led by Jimmy Havoc. Mainly Jimmy Havoc and any member of the London Riots. Calls them out for a fight. Now, you want hard hitting, you want physical, you want power, you want speed, you want kicks. Kicks being from Tommy End. Well, you need no look no further than watching this hard hit, physical 15-minute-ish match between Rampage Brown and Tommy End. Unbelievable. You know, hard hitting, physical match, smash mouth at its best. And it was all that just for the time they had. They didn't have that much time. They had at least, say, maybe 10-15 minutes at the most to get what they got out of that time. Superb. Straight up superb. Unbelievable. And Tommy End goes to do a springboard move and then jumps right into a clothesline. And Rampage Brown gets the victory and then demands he wants another shot at the Progress title. And yeah, just good physical, Tommy End throwing kicks, just great stuff, man. Great match. And like I say, great match for the time they had. And Rampage got the victory. And, you know, that guy can progress in any company, man. And Tommy End is now with the Smitty Death Squad, as we well know. And I still believe to this day, taking nothing away from Mark Andrews, I still believe to this very day that Rampage Brown should have won the TNA contract. He should be wrestling in TNA now. And that's not a knock on Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is awesome. I don't like the way TNA called him Mandrews. What? You know, Jesus Christ. But, you know, if they wanted that, I mean, Rampage Brown should be wrestling in TNA. But TNA's loss is British and professional wrestling's game. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for me to talk about the main event, which saw Zack Sabre Jr. challenging the evil Jimmy Havoc for the Progress Wrestling Championship. And since the referee didn't want no part of this match and didn't trust Jimmy Havoc one bit, Progress Wrestling got Marty Scurll to be the referee. Good physical match, right? Basically, it was a technical wrestling match. Yes, there was a fight, the fight in the crowd at one point during the match as well, but it was a good technical wrestling match for what it was. Good offense, Zack throwing kicks, and at one point during the match, he was on the outside with Jimmy, and he just threw loads of kicks, and then at one point, went to kick him while he was stood on the ring post. Jimmy moved out the way, and Zack kicked the ring post, and if only you'd have heard the thud that happened, it was sick. I mean, go and watch Progress Wrestling on demand service right now and see chapter 11 rather. Unbelievable. Just the thud. It was just unbelievable. And then obviously Jimmy's going to capitalize and go for the leg. Zack manages to get an armbar 2 occasions and make Jimmy tap. But one time, the first time he was on the stage, and the second time Marty was down. All in all, a good match, but the story of the match came towards the very end, which is what I'm going to talk about right now. And it basically, I'll run through it right now in my notes here. It basically ran through like this. Marty gets taken out. Havoc taps, like I said, this was the second time. Havoc taps, there was no ref because Marty was out. Jimmy then low blows Zack, gets him in this finishing move, and one of the security trainees on the outside, this big, huge, bald-headed monster that I would imagine was trained by Jimmy Havoc, because Jimmy Havoc used to run the Progress Wrestling training facility until he turned heel. And then he slided the Progress Wrestling stick in, and then the Progress Wrestling title stick, the statue thing, the whatever they call it, you know what it is. They brought that in, he slided that in, and then Jimmy done his finishing move on Zack and drove Zack right on top of the title. And one of the trainees got in the guy's face and said, "What you doing?" The guy just cleaned his clock, and management was angry at ringside, but I don't think the guy even cared. And Jimmy only managed to get a 2 out of that. And then Jimmy chokes out Zack after taking out Marty Scurll, because Marty got in his face. Jimmy pushed him, but Jimmy got in Marty's face. Jimmy pushed him. Marty didn't take too kindly to it, and then Jimmy DVDs Marty, and then basically threatens Jim Smallman, the Progress Wrestling management at ringside, and proceeds to choke out Zack Sabre Jr. And to the dismay of Progress Wrestling management, Zack Sabre Jr. couldn't do anything else, and Jimmy Havoc retained the Progress Wrestling title, much to the dismay of Progress Wrestling. And then It got heated at ringside, involving the new sidekick, the new monster, bodyguard, I would imagine, of Jimmy Havoc and Jimmy Havoc himself, and then Smallman. And then Jimmy said that he will do everything to fuck over Progress Wrestling until Progress Wrestling, Jim Smallman, and Progress Wrestling management show him the respect that he deserved. So until that point, that was what was going to happen. And then Smallman ends the show by saying he will make Jimmy's life a living hell at next show, and he will do everything in his path to get that belt off him. All in all, great show. 4 out of 5, loved it. And obviously Jimmy steals the show when it comes to his heel work. And now I know why Steve Dawson was shooting all these years saying that Jimmy Havoc is the best heel in Britain, dare I say, professional wrestling, because it's true. And if you don't believe me, sign up for the on-demand service of Progress Wrestling and you can see for yourself, some of the stuff that he does, man. I mean, 99% of the stuff he does, he wouldn't get over in WWE, but we pro wrestling fans, me included, absolutely love it, man. I mean, this is how a heel should be. And like I say, if you don't believe me, sign up for the on-demand service or check out Progress Wrestling on YouTube. You may get a solid idea of what I'm talking about. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the Progress Wrestling podcast. Hope you have enjoyed it. Tune in next time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for new installments of the podcast. And until then, my name is Anthony Walker, saying thank you so much for showing your support, and thank you so much for taking the time to tune in and listen to the podcast that brings only the best in professional wrestling, the Wrestling Matters Podcast. Until next time, guys, peace out.
Well, enough is enough, and it's time for a change. Professional wrestling, this is it. This is us standing up.
Yes, 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 yes!
That's 13-14!
Cena, I am the best in the world.
Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold Simpson.